My name is Darnell Taylor. I grew up on the south side of Chicago in a really small project called Allgale Gardens. It was a neighborhood where there was a lot of crime, a lot of drugs, a lot of violence. It was just my mom, and she was a single parent, and that was kind of hard for her.
Did you ever meet your dad?
I actually played in a band with him, in a marching band. I played the bass drum, and he was on the snares, but he just never acknowledged me as his son. So right now we are in Allgale Gardens. It's just like all boarded up and gutted out, like holes in the roof. It just seems like a ghost town. So this wall right here is a wall representing everyone in this neighborhood that have died. Actually, I know this guy, Hicks. And I think I know who this person is. Can I give you a hug, Mom?
Love you.
I love you too, Mom.
3 years old when I came out here. And I've been there ever since. 'Cause one, I was trying to keep up on Mama, but I can't take care no more because I had a stroke.
So you just want to get out this city?
Yeah, that's all.
One of my best friends was shot and killed. His name was Marcus Miller. And he was just like hanging out in the neighborhood. And one of the rival gangs just drove up on him. And he got shot some 18 times. I noticed that some of my friends was getting into an argument with a guy. They were saying like, hey, we want our money back. One guy hit him, another guy hit him. I grabbed him, pushed him down. And I told them like, hey man, leave this guy alone. They left, I left, the fight was over. I didn't really think anything of this fight. It wasn't a really big fight. It wasn't like a guy like got seriously beat up. And then a few weeks later, I get a knock on the door, and it's a police officer asking my grandmother, can he speak to me about a fight that he thought I witnessed? And once I got to the station, the police was telling me that it wasn't just a fight, but they was then charging me with first-degree murder. Like this place kind of reminds me of like some of the darkness that I experienced while here, like my friend who committed suicide. I had about 4 or 5 inmates at my cell with knives trying to get to my cellmate. As he was holding the door, there was guys stabbing him in the hand. I was overcome with fear that I may have 5 more minutes to live. And the second you can hear the officer, everyone just scattered, dropping knives and running to their rooms. I spent the next 2-3 months in shock. I was numb to the point that I didn't know how to feel. It just happened in a moment when I was sitting in my cell, tears flowing down my face. It was God sort of tugging at my heart, telling me I needed to change. I think I spent maybe 2 or 3 hours just sitting on my bed crying and talking to God. And this person gave me a Bible, and I just took it to my room and I started reading it. I was put on a unit where I got an opportunity to go to chapel at least once a week. They had a Bible study every single day. Once I learned that Christ died for me, and I learned like what true freedom was, it was about having Jesus Christ in my heart and finding my hope in Him, finding my peace in Him. I might be in jail, but I still have my freedom. Then I realized that Jesus was about serving others, and it wasn't just about me. I was helping other people who were struggling in their faith, and while in these holding cells, I would often ask all the inmates that was in the holding cell to all come together, and then we would pray. So I spent 3 years, 3 months in jail, and then another 6 years, I think 6 months in prison. I remember the day that I was released from prison. My mother came to pick me up. And so that whole time on my way home, I was just thinking about my future and what that would look like. And so I decided to move with my sister that lived here in Chapel Hill. And the very next Sunday, I woke up to go to church and I get lost. And I end up in Grace Church parking lot. And there was a guy in the parking lot and I was like, hey, I'm looking for church. Is this church? And the guy was like, yeah, this is church. Come on in. And I thought the worship was awesome. And I immediately just sort of fell in love with the church. There was a couple of people invited me to come and share my testimony at Hillside High School. And so I said, yeah, sure, I would love to go do that. When I saw how much that story impacted the students and how many questions that they had, it suddenly hit me wait, maybe you should come to high schools and share your testimony more often. And so I started doing it. For those of you who don't know, my name is Darnell Taylor. I am the director of C3, so I actually oversee these 5 clubs. I grew up on the south side of Chicago. If I take an assessment of my life right now, being married with 2 beautiful daughters, Brielle and Nia, these are all things that when I was 19, I had no vision for.
Every time I see him, I just get prouder and prouder. Yeah.
Don't cry.
I'm not gonna cry. Don't stop it. Don't tell me that now.
But I don't know, I just felt almost it was a different life that he had before. Must have been crazy to have gone through all of that, and just really glad I was in a place to be able to not discount on what God had done, because I think there's been such a great work that's not even finished yet.
Okay. I look at my life and say, none of this is because I'm a good person. It's simply because God loved me enough to put me here so that I can share my story with someone else. It was all worth it. It was all worth it. Every year that I spent, every day, every second that I spent in prison, it was all worth it.